Hey everyone, welcome back to another video and welcome to today's Bookmas video. Today I will be sharing with you some of my favorite mystery books. Mysteries are one of my favorite genres of all time, and I don't think I have a mystery book recommendations video. I know I have recommended mysteries in the past, I just don't think I have one specific video just about mysteries. So that's what this video is about today, and I'm really excited to go through each of the books. And I'm going to start off with some of my favorite classic mystery books. The first book I have here is The Hound of the Baskervilles by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. This is one of his only full-length novels surrounding the classic detective Sherlock Holmes, and it is probably one of my top 3 out of all the Sherlock Holmes stories. I love this book so much. It is so atmospheric and perfect for fall or winter. And I'm just going to read the back because it describes the story perfectly without spoiling anything. It says, "Imposing Baskerville Hall casts an ominous shadow over the lonely moorlands of Devon, where rumors of a demonic beast haunt the land. The sudden death of Sir Charles Baskerville raises disturbing questions. Could he be the victim of a legendary hound which has terrorized the family for generations? Or is someone using the myth to cover their tracks? Only Sherlock Holmes can unravel the mystery." It is so fun, and I would definitely recommend for this time of year. It is one of the best classic mysteries that I've ever read. I have to mention a couple Agatha Christie books, of course, and I have my 2 favorite here. First off, we have And Then There Were None, and this is one of her most well-known, most beloved mystery books, and for good reason. It is amazing. It is one of the most amazing whodunits that I've ever read. You're constantly questioning your own theories as you're reading this book, and it just blows me away. Even when I think about it now, knowing how it ends, I'm still just amazed that I didn't catch on to what was going on. But amazing book, would highly recommend. And if you like isolated mysteries, this is perfect because it is set on an isolated island, and you have a group of people who are all invited on this island, but they don't know why. And then people start dying one by one, and it's just such a good mystery. This is perfect. I love it so much. And yeah, I would definitely recommend if you haven't picked up any Agatha Christie, if you haven't read this one yet, it's amazing. And my second favorite Agatha Christie book this far is Death on the Nile, and this one is definitely a more summery one. It's very hot, and it's set in Egypt, so this is perfect to read in the summer, but it's definitely one of my favorites. I was guessing until the very end. I did not see the end coming, and it's actually one of her longest ones. It's almost 350 pages, which is pretty long for an Agatha Christie, but this is amazing. The twist at the end is also just incredible. It is an Hercule Poirot book, and Then There Were None is a standalone, so there's no like Miss Marple or Hercule Poirot, but this one is a Poirot story. And it's one of my favorites with him. I love it. It is set on a small boat on the Nile in Egypt, and there's a murder, and it's amazing. And I love this book so much. Would highly recommend. Next, I have 3 mysteries that are more on the cozy side, and I love them each so much. First, we have this masterpiece, Apple Cider Slaying. It is one of my favorite cozy mystery books now, and all thanks to Pride and Paperback. Thank you so much, Caitlin. I'm so glad that you mentioned this series in one of your videos because I'm now obsessed, and I really need to read book 2 and 3. And in this book, we have a girl named Winnie. She is a young adult, and she's living with her grandmother on an apple farm. And basically, her grandmother's rival, her arch nemesis, ends up killed on the property. And so the police are really suspecting either Winnie or her grandmother, and the story goes from there. It is so much fun and so cozy, and the descriptions of the apple cider recipes that Winnie makes are just amazing. And she starts her own business where she sells apple cider alongside the apples that they sell on their orchard and some baked goods, and it's just so cozy. And it is set right before Christmas, which is perfect. I love this mystery book and would highly recommend. Definitely a favorite cozy mystery for sure. Another mystery that I wouldn't say is a full-on cozy mystery, but it definitely has cozy mystery elements, and that is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. I 100% believe it is worth all the hype that it's gotten. It is so good. The characterization is amazing. The mysteries are really well written. Oh, I love this book so much. I have read book 2 as well, and I own book 3 and really need to read it. So at the time that I'm filming, I still need to read book 3, but I am dying to because the first 2 books were just phenomenal. And it is about a group of septuagenarians. They are 4 lovely people in their 70s who live in a retirement village. A murder happens. There's actually a double mystery in this book, and it's just so much fun. There's so much humor, and each of these 4 characters, we have Elizabeth, Joyce, Ibrahim, and Ron, and they're each so unique and so fun and have such unique personalities and bring something so different to the story. They're all very, very different, but all just captured my heart. And oh my gosh, if you haven't read this book, I would highly recommend. I feel like this is a book that so many people could enjoy, even if mysteries aren't generally your genre. The characters are amazing. Just everything about this book is so phenomenal. Next, we have A Curious Beginning by Diana Raybourn, and this is the first book in the Veronica Speedwell series. I have talked about it quite a lot on my channel, so you probably know what it's about. But if you don't, we have a young woman named Veronica who grew up with 2 aunts. They kind of adopted her. They weren't really her aunts, but she grew up with them because her mother died and she doesn't really know the identity of her father. But then her aunts both pass away and she's kind of left on her own. This man shows up after the funeral and is basically telling her, look, your life is in peril and you need to come to London with me. And then there's an attempted kidnapping and Veronica's like, okay, he's telling the truth. Let's go to London. They end up in London, but then he ends up murdered. And so she moves in with this man named Stoker and they're trying to solve the mystery. Stoker was an acquaintance of this man that ends up killed. And Veronica was told that Stoker is a safe person to be with. And so they're trying to solve this murder and another mystery pops up. And this book is so fun. This whole series is so fun. It is set in the Victorian era, which I really, really love. And yeah, if you're looking for a historical mystery, I would highly recommend. All right, so moving on from the cozy mysteries into the more, I guess, darker mysteries. Not all of them are very dark, but they're definitely not cozy. So first we have The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I read this a couple years ago and really, really enjoyed it. And this one says, Aidan Bishop knows the rules. Evelyn Hardcastle will die every day until he can identify her killer and break the cycle. But every time the day begins again, Aidan wakes up in the body of a different guest at Blackheath Manor, and some of his hosts are more helpful than others. With a locked room mystery that Agatha Christie would envy, Stuart Turton unfurls a breakneck novel of intrigue and suspense. So this book is very much an ode to Agatha Christie while being a very unique story on its own. It's like Groundhog Day and Agatha Christie combined. It is so, so interesting, a very unique, like science fiction almost twist on a murder mystery because the main character does continuously wake up in the body of another guest at this manor. They're there for an event and he has to figure out who killed this woman. I will say it is a bit slower paced and a longer book, but if that's something that you think you would enjoy, I would highly recommend this book as well. Next is a really unique book that I really love because it's a story within a story, and that is Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz. And this book, like I said, is very, very unique because we have the outer narrative, which is set in modern day, and we have an editor named Susan Ryland who receives a manuscript for a book. And then that story itself is the inner narrative. And so you're kind of getting both stories told. And there's some interconnections because a murder happens in the inner narrative and it's very, very unique. I'll read the summary for this as well. It says, when editor Susan Ryland is given the tattered manuscript of Alan Conway's latest novel, she has little idea it will change her life. She's worked with a revered crime writer for years, and his detective, Atticus Pund, is renowned for solving crimes in the sleepy English villages of the 1950s. As Susan knows only too well, vintage crime sells handsomely. It's just a shame that it means dealing with an author like Alan Conway. But Conway's latest tale of murder at Pye Hall is not what it seems. Yes, there are dead bodies and a host of intriguing suspects, but hidden in the pages of the manuscript there lies another story, a tale written between the very words on the page, telling of real-life jealousy, greed, ruthless ambition, and murder. I would definitely recommend this book if you're looking for something a little different, a little more unique, and not your traditional story, not your traditional murder mystery. It's very, very unique. Next up, we have a mystery that has a more paranormal twist, which is not normally my thing. And I know paranormal is not for everyone. It's definitely not for me at all. But this book is very much an exception for me personally. I adore it. And that is The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. This book, so emotional, so different from what I normally read, but it really, really had an impact on me as a reader, and I would definitely recommend. I'm just going to read the back again because I haven't read it in a while and I just don't want to get anything wrong when describing it. But we have two timelines. So first we have Vermont in 1950. There's a place for the girls whom no one wants, the troublemakers, the illegitimate, the ones too smart for their own good. It's called Idlewild Hall, and local legend says the boarding school is haunted. 4 roommates bond over their whispered fears, their friendship blossoming, until one of them mysteriously disappears. And then we have Vermont in 2014. So 20 years ago, the body of Fiona Sheridan's elder sister was found in the overgrown fields near the ruins of Idlewild Hall. While her sister's boyfriend was tried and convicted for the murder, Fiona can't stop revisiting the events, unable to shake the feeling that something was never right about the case. When the renovation of Idlewild Hall leads to a shocking discovery linked to the loss of her sister, Fiona must confront secrets that were meant to stay hidden in the past, and a voice that won't be silenced. So like I said, it does have a paranormal twist to it, but I think this book is amazing. And it goes much deeper than just trying to scare the reader. That's one of the reasons that I don't like horror, especially horror that is just demonic and creepy and scary for no reason other than being creepy and scary. But this is not like other horror books that I stay away from. I personally don't think it's too scary, but it's definitely very, very emotional and impactful. Next, we have a book that it seems it has paranormal elements, but there is nothing paranormal about it, and that is The Curse of Misty Wayfarer by Jamie Jo Wright. I feel like if you like Jamie Jo Wright, you would enjoy the book I previously mentioned. But this book is basically supposed to feel like a ghost story without it actually being paranormal. And this, I think, is my favorite by her so far. I have a couple more to read by her, but I really, really loved this one. And it says, left at an orphanage as a child, Thea Reed vowed to find her mother someday. Now grown, her search takes her to turn-of-the-century Pleasant Valley, Wisconsin. When the clues she finds leads her to a mental asylum, Thea uses her experience as a post-mortem photographer to gain access and assist groundskeeper Simeon Coyle in photographing the patients and uncovering the secrets within. However, she never expected her personal quest would reawaken the legend of Misty Wayfarer, a murdered woman who allegedly haunts the area and whose appearance portends death. A century later, Heidi Lane receives a troubling letter from her mother, who is battling dementia, compelling her to travel to Pleasant Valley for answers to her own questions of identity. When she catches sight of a ghostly woman haunting the asylum ruins in the woods, the long-standing story of Misty Wayfarer returns, and with it, Heidi's fear for her own life. As two women across time seek answers about their identities and heritage, they must overcome the threat of the mysterious curse that has them inextricably intertwined. This book is so good. I was just so immersed in the story. It is so atmospheric and haunting, but beautifully written, and I loved both timelines so much. Such a unique story, especially with the historical fiction timeline featuring a post-mortem photographer. I thought that was very eerie, but I loved it so much. Would highly recommend. Next up, we have a book that I read in October and talked about in my October wrap-up, and that is The Caretakers by Eliza Maxwell. This is so good. I was blown away. I really loved it, especially because it seems like not a lot of people love it. I was looking through Goodreads and I feel like it's very underrated and underhyped, and it deserves more. I really enjoyed it. It has a very unique story where we have a filmmaker named Tessa Shepard, and she basically helped exonerate this man who was tried for murder, and she truly believed he was innocent and helped exonerate him, and she formed a really close, I guess, like friendship with him. But then another murder happens and he basically confesses. And so she's like, what did I just do? I just helped free an actual murderer. And then she gets news that her mother has passed away but has left her this mansion. And she goes to this mansion where there are two elderly sisters that take care of it. And they basically have connections to her mother that Tessa never knew about. And there's just this whole uncovering of what happened back in the 1950s. And this book is just so good. Just everything is so intertwined and linked, and I love it so much. It honestly made me tear up at the end as well. It is, wow. Loved this book. It really delves into what makes a killer and like what triggers a person to start killing, and it's really sad and heartbreaking, but so good. And I would definitely say this is now one of my favorite mysteries. It is really well written and I really loved it. I would recommend it for sure. It is so underhyped. All right, and the last mystery I want to talk about is a young adult mystery, and it is so good. I definitely think this is also worth the hype that it's gotten, and that is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This book was so much fun, and I felt like I was part of the murder investigation throughout this entire book, because there is a lot of mixed media, and the narration style is very engaging, and I really loved that. Again, it's been a while since I've read it, so let's read the summary. It says, everyone in Fairview knows the story. Pretty and popular high school senior Andy Bell was murdered by her boyfriend, Sal Singh, who then killed himself. It was all anyone could talk about, and 5 years later, Pip sees how the tragedy still haunts her town. But she can't shake the feeling that there was more to the story. She knew Sal when she was a child, and he was always so kind to her. How could he possibly have been a killer? Now a senior herself, Pip decides to re-examine the closed case for her final project. At first, just to cast doubt on the original investigation. But she soon discovers a trail of dark secrets that might actually prove Sal innocent, and the line between past and present begins to blur. Someone in Fairview doesn't want Pip digging around for answers, and now her own life might be in danger. This is the story of an investigation turned obsession, full of twists, turns, and with an ending you'll never expect. And that is very, very true. I did not expect it. This is a 5-star mystery. I love it so, so much and would definitely recommend. All right, friends, that is it for my list of mysteries that I wanted to recommend to you all. Let me know if you have read any of these in the comments and what your thoughts were. I'd like to know if you've read any of them and didn't enjoy them as much as I did. I'm really, really curious to hear your thoughts. But that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so, so much for watching, and I hope to see you all in my next Bookmas video. Bye!